Hello and welcome to the Final Whistle with me, Daniel Waterson, looking back at Hibs' 2-0 win over Celtic at Easter Road. Coming up, James Delaney and I talk through the match, and Cliff Pike has post-match reaction from Lennon and Porteous. Usually we would go to the commentary at this point, but due to technical issues out with our hands, there wasn't any today. So for no real reason whatsoever, other than the fact I don't want to link from my voice to my voice again, here's the commentary from the winning goal in the 2016 Scottish Cup final for your enjoyment.
Henderson, ball floated in. So Hibs head is the ball's in the back of the net, and Hibs are in the lead in the Scottish Cup final.
No danger.
Unbelievable.
Is it David Gray?
It's the skipper David Gray that's got the ball in the back of the net. Oh my goodness me, Connor.
James, I mean, the entire Hibs TV team was a hive of optimism in the lead up to this game, but in the end it's a 2-0 win for Hibs, and not just a 2-0 win for Hibs over the champions, a very, very comfortable 2-0 win.
Yeah, it's a vastly improved performance. On you think back to the St Mirren game a few weeks ago, I thought it was the kind of performance with the kind of effort that the Hibs fans have been asking for from this team. I thought we made Celtic look very average today. I thought Ryan Porteous and Effie Ambrose, I mean, they were just like, it was unbelievable. You know, it's like a wall in front of the Hibernian goal. Even though we were down to the bare bones already, we then lose another man, and Sean Mackey comes on to play in midfield. Sorry, Slivka goes off, Sean Mackey comes on to play in midfield, not his natural position, and looks like he's been playing there for years. A very, very good team performance, and I think it kind of just shows what one win can do for you, what one win can do for your confidence. You know, I had to scrap and fight to get it at Hamilton last week, and come up this week and put a performance like that against the champions. It's no mean feat. So I mean, credit to Neil Lennon, credit to Gary Parker, and credit to the men who were on the pitch today. It's a fantastic performance and a hugely deserved 2-0 win.
I think looking at the results yesterday as well, that and even Friday night, as hilarious as that was, and it was very, very, very funny.
I think we can all agree on that.
But every team kind of floating around that top 6 spot won. So not only is it's always a great win to beat Celtic at home or to beat them anywhere, but it was really an essential win as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, again, you know, we spent time, you know, after the St Mirren game, after the Hamilton game, talking about the talent this team has, and you know, I thought that was on full display today. And you know, you talk about sort of a pressure situation, it kind of seems a little bit ridiculous to be saying that when we're only halfway through December. But you're absolutely right. You know, everybody who's around the top 6 won. It's bound to put pressure on that Hibs team, but it certainly didn't show. You know, I thought we were very good today, and obviously, I mean, going up inside a minute helps. So going one up inside a minute helps with that. But I mean, at no point did we ease up. You know, we were always aggressive. We were always looked solid. We looked, you know, very. It helped to contain Celtic really well. Never really at any point looked like we were likely to concede a goal, which, you know, against the Celtic team is something to say, particularly considering the run of form they've been on. This is a Celtic team that's not lost a league game since September.
That'd be the Rugby Park one.
Rugby Park, yeah. Against the current league leaders in Kilmarnock. So, you know, it's to go out and put in a performance like that, given all the circumstances and given the fact that we had half a team virtually, is no mean feat. So, you know, it's a brilliant win, and like I say, credit to the coaching staff and the players who were on the pitch today.
We've spoke, I want to say it was after one of the Derby wins at Easter Road last season, where we spoke about how strange a game football is, in the sense that to us, every time Celtic and in the second half and you're 1-0 and then 2-0 up, you're going, oh, here we go, they're going to score, here we go, this is it. But whereas to the neutral and the away end, there's obviously this feeling of they could play all day and they're never going to score. I've got one level-headed Celtic supporting friend, and he texted me after the second saying this is done. Like, you could tell within the first minute Celtic were never going to do anything today, and at that point you kind of realise that it's as much about concentration and not making stupid mistakes as it is the opposition actually playing through you. And to a man, from, you've already said, from the midfield right back, Ryan Porteous was just an absolute played like an experienced 30-year-old defender the other day. He was outstanding, but every single one of those players.
The tackle he makes on James Forrest in the last minute of the game, it's virtually the last kick of the game, is outstanding for a 19-year-old guy who, like, you know, we talk about a pressure situation. In that situation, you expect him to wipe Forrest out. He doesn't. It's a really clean tackle. He gets the ball. Forrest, I think, has a little bit of a go at him. And he doesn't even react. He just gets up.
Yeah.
You know, and the maturity that he showed today was outstanding. And I mean, you know, we eulogise about Ryan Porteous on this podcast at times, but I mean, put some performances like today, it's absolutely warranted.
Yeah, we're really, you've already said, but we're almost watching him mature and grow as a player as this season develops. The opening couple of games this season, we were having a good laugh at some of the tackles that he was getting yellow carded for. They're kind of, they're not, the heavy tackles aren't coming out his game, but maybe the irrational yellow cards are dropping out of his game. When he's going in for these hard tackles, he's ensuring that he's going to win the ball, and he's letting the attackers know that he's there. And it was as early, I think, in the opening 10-15 minutes, he must have had 2 or 3 that elicits this kind of cheer from the crowd, and that can only help him grow in huge swathes of confidence.
Yeah, my favourite tackle, one of my favourite Ryan Porteous tackles of all time, which is a pretty long list already at this stage, is in the first half. He puts a tackle on Sinclair and gets the ball, but it hits the ball with so much power it actually ends up back at Craig Gordon's feet in the Celtic box. I mean, it's going, what is that, like 70 yards? Like, unbelievable to get that kind of range on what is like a sliding challenge. But yeah, I mean, you know, today you would have struggled to kind of, you know, pick him out and say he's only, what if he is 19, 20-year-old. You know,
he looked like a cap. I know Ambrose had the armband today, but it was something I noticed against Hamilton last week as well. It's him that's marshalling the defence.
It's
now.
Him that's roaring and telling them to get out and telling them to pick up, you know, people, and you know, he obviously has that a bit of authority in the team, and yeah, certainly wouldn't be challenging him on that. But yeah, it's I think having him alongside a guy like Effie Ambrose, who is very cool and very calm at the back and very experienced, is only going to help him, you know, improve as well. I thought Ambrose was very good today. I know he got the man of the match. Personally, thought I should have got it Porteous myself, but Ambrose was very worthy of that award as well. And you know, it's good to see us kind of produce a player like that, because the players we tend to produce tend to be very good footballers. I'm not saying that Ryan's not a very good footballer. You know, they tend to be sort of more attacking players. It's very rare that we produce a defender like that, and you know, seeing him come through the ranks and seeing him mature, and obviously we have him on a long deal as well, so long may it continue. Yeah,
so go back to the beginning of this one. There's 2 changes from Hibs, from the team that beat Hamilton last week. Whittaker and Horgan come in from Mavrius and Lennon. We've stuck again, I think, for the 3rd game in a row we've started with that 4-3-1-2, the kind of diamond. It's working for us just now, and it's essential that we've found a bit of consistency with team selection and the shape of the lineup as well. That was the setup. We started with 3 at the back at Parkhead. Obviously we're 2-0 down. By the time we change it, we put in a much better performance, so I think it was only right that we started where we finished off at Parkhead.
Yeah, you know, it's I think we've talked a lot here, you know, and sort of the changes we've seen over the past year of the team we had last season, the team we had this season, and it is obviously going to take a little bit of time, and it has taken a little bit of time to kind of work out A, what our best formation is, and B, you know, who's best to fit that formation. Today it's not helped by the fact that we've got, I think it's 8 players out injured, or you know, missing. Adam Bogdan's back on the bench, but I don't really think there was any chance of him getting on unless something obviously happens to Alfio Marciano. You know, so that forces changes, but we seem to have found a system which kind of allows our players to play with freedom and play the way they want. Today it's slightly different in that, you know, obviously we have guys like Marvin Bartley, guys like Mark Milligan, Martin Boyle, who are usually around the starting lineup, out injured, so we've had to kind of, you know, change it up a little bit today. But to a man, I thought the 11 people who started the game today were absolutely fantastic, and even the guys who were playing roles that were maybe slightly unfamiliar to them, like Daryl Horgan's playing up in a more central role rather than out wide. Talked about Sean Mackey coming on in the second half. I thought they were all hugely impressive, and it's like I say, it's credit to the coaching staff who obviously worked with them all this week and got them ready for this.
Yeah, and I think maybe without the lack of Bartley and Milligan, you're almost left with no option but to go for it. And straight for kick-off for 45 seconds into the game, Malin plays a nice ball through to Slivka. I thought he'd lost the chance, but the way he turns back inside and the finish is great. It's 3 goals for Slivka at Hibs now, and they're all against Old Firm. Yeah,
but into Slivka, he has a very kind of unique running style and a very unique playing style, but he almost looks like he's never in control of the ball, but he always is. He never seems to really lose it all that much. The goal itself is fantastic, and I didn't actually realise until I saw it back at half time, it starts from down in the right back position for us. I don't know who it is that wins it. It ends up getting played out. It's 2 or 3 passes and we're suddenly on our way. Hyndman plays it out to Malin, as you say. It's a brilliant ball into Slivka, and Slivka, the slightly sort of gangly style that he has, it looks like he's knocked it too far ahead of him, but really nice finish with his left foot into the corner. I was going to say I think it might be our quickest goal of the season.
Dundee.
I was thinking, scored after about 30 seconds.
As you were saying that, I wonder, it can't be very often that we score within the opening minute of games, so to do it twice in a month?
I feel like we might have already scored inside a minute in one of the games, but I can't remember which one it is. Before the Dundee game.
Runovic, did we get a penalty in the opening minute?
Yeah, I think so, maybe something like that. But it was, you can't really ask for a better start than that against the Celtic team. And I think it was pretty clear kind of what the tactic was. It was get an early goal, let Celtic come on to us and hit them on the break. Obviously the second half, at times our counter-attacks were absolutely devastating, and possibly in a few days' time when we're looking back in this, maybe slightly frustrated it was only 2-0. There's 2 or 3 half-decent chances where Horgan puts the ball right across goal.
Second half alone, there's 2 that I can think of. Mackie puts one across goal that Canberry just misses, and then Canberry puts one just across goal that Horgan misses.
So that was obviously something that had been worked on and something that comes off to great effect. But the goal itself that we get, the first goal, is a really nice pass and move, and I'm sure it's one of those where if you're watching Sports Scene back later on this evening or whenever you're watching it, they probably, I'm going to look like a complete moron now if they just don't mention it, but they're probably going to have quite a good look at that, because it's a really nice pass and move. It pulls Celtic all over the place, and really good finish by Kent Slivka, who must wish he could play against Celtic and Rangers every week. And luckily now he gets to the next few games.
He's adapted well to life in Edinburgh, and that he takes it all out on us poor Glaswegians. We don't need fed at Christmas time.
I don't know where to go with that.
I don't know what to do with that either. I'll probably just cut that out. And now here's the thoughts of Neil Lennon speaking with Cliff Pike.
Neil, a 2-0 victory, and we look very, very comfortable in achieving it.
Well, you're never comfortable against a team of the quality of Celtic, but it was a very assured performance. One I've been crying out for a long time. Very proud of the team. Thought they were superb. Very proud of the supporters today as well. But I'm annoyed that it's taken us, 8 or 9 games now to really find that level of performance again. And you can't save your performances for the big games, Cliff. We'll have to be more consistent week in, week out. However, we've got another big game Wednesday night. If we win that, we're back in the top 6 and starting looking up the table again, which is very, very pleasing, obviously.
I can certainly understand that frustration, but the 2 wins in a row, particularly today's one, will do wonders for the confidence with the run we've got coming up.
I think so, yeah, but we're not getting carried away. We know how difficult and daunting a task Rangers can be. Different animal under Stephen Gerrard. But listen, we've beaten the champions today, and we could have won the game by more. And that's not being, disrespectful to Celtic. We had some fantastic passages of play where we just needed a touch on the end of it. We attacked on the counter-attack brilliantly, and our discipline and our self-discipline off the ball was very, very impressive. So they've shown me they can do it now, again, and that's a big skill for us today.
Given the number of bodies that you had out, you got absolutely everything from the guys that played today.
Oh, it's a remarkable performance, remarkable, and I think they were backed by fantastic support today as well. And we look forward to Wednesday night under the lights now as well. So the players gave everything, and not only ran about and committed themselves, but they played with real verve and quality. So very, very pleased with it.
Got off to a terrific start. Couldn't have got off to a better start than that, really.
Yeah, but you're sitting there going, right, there's only 9 minutes to go. But no, it was a brilliant goal, great counter-attack. Stephen Whittaker, who you thought probably had his best game for a long time. I think a few of them, to be fair, Louis, they've been off the boil for one reason or another. They played superbly today. It was a great flow and move. Emerson, Ollie Shaw played a great ball, and Vicky has got that in his game. So great start, and then we had, decent control. We looked at threat. Stevie Mallon had a couple of pops of goal, which again he hasn't done for a few weeks. So you could just see all the juices flowing again, and that's all we want from them, really.
What was noticeable was, other than a spell maybe the first 10 minutes of the second half, we pressed Celtic quite high up the park. Didn't really give them any room to pass the ball. No,
that's part of the plan. You want to try and make them make mistakes higher up the pitch, win the ball higher up, and then you don't have so far to go. And with the pace at times that we have in the team, the athleticism certainly from the likes of Heinemann and Slivka and Kimberry, we can hurt teams.
Flo Canberry got back on the score sheet today, and what finish it was.
Well, that'll do him the world of good. He played well, and it's a fantastic finish. I would like to see him score more tap-ins. He probably should have got on the end of Mackey's cross. He needs to start adding that to his game. His hold-up play was a lot better, but like I say, Flo likes the big games, but it's not just all about the big games. We need more from him on a weekly basis, and that's not being overcritical. We know we have a lot of faith in Flo, and hopefully that'll start a goal run for him again.
You mentioned Sean Mackey. Vicky took a sore one. He came on in midfield in the second half. I thought he was outstanding.
He did very, very well. He's been on the cusp of it now for a while. I think that'll do his confidence the world of good. Great left foot, big boy, athletic. Just mentality at times lets him down. But it was needs must today, and he stood up and played terrific. Very disciplined off the ball, and his quality on the ball was superb.
So we move on to Wednesday night. Rangers, as you've said, a different animal under Steven Gerrard, but that's one that will really be up for, I would imagine now.
I think those games look after themselves. Even the Livingston game is going to be a big game for us, so we take the win. Maybe it was unexpected considering the players we had out, but we'll build on that and go again for Wednesday and look forward to it, and hopefully the supporters will get right behind us again.
So you already said Celtic were just completely rattled. They grew into the game eventually, but for the opening 10 minutes they just didn't have a clue what was going on. It's like they never learn against Hibs that this is a team that's going to have a go at you, and they don't understand what to do. And as good as impressive as it was for them to get out that Europa League group, I think people forgot just how much Salzburg ran them ragged on Thursday as well.
Yeah, and it was a totally bizarre scenario on Thursday night where Celtic are celebrating that kind of Rosenborg goal when they actually were very, very poor at home to Salzburg. And Salzburg, extremely professional display for them, given they were already through. And I think they took maximum points, so they only took maximum points in the group.
Run every game.
So the fact that they turned up and they did sort of make Celtic run around, and clearly a very good side. At no point did you really think Celtic were going to win that or were going to get back into it, and they looked like they were tiring. But again, this is a Celtic team that's been doing that for the past 2 or 3 years. They're well versed in playing Thursday, Sunday, or Wednesday, Saturday, or whenever it is, to fit in with their European commitments. So certainly take nothing away from Hibs today, but I think undoubtedly that game against Salzburg has probably helped, and perhaps dampened the celebrations a little bit for Celtic this week.
Yeah, and it was kind of Hibs that I would still say made the better chances in the first half. So I've got here Mallon has another wonder ball to Stevenson, as Hibs are kind of looking to expose Ayer on the right hand side more than anyone. Not comfortable at all at right back. Mallon has a free kick that brings out a decent save from Gordon. Celtic then start to dominate possession without doing much from it. Edward has a shot that goes over. Hibs look dangerous every time they counter attack. We've spoke recently about how it's just that final ball, and again it was maybe just lacking a little bit in the first half, but beyond the goal in the first half there wasn't a huge amount of chances to talk about. Brown's booking, I think there's a suggestion that could have been slightly more than a yellow card.
Yeah, I must admit I haven't actually seen it back, but it's one of those where it would be interesting to see it. We know the type of player Scott Brown is. He's a very physical player. Slivka, I must admit, it looked like he sort of just got there before Brown got there, and I thought it was a yellow, not a red. Again, I'd like to see it back, but it's clearly caused Slivka some problems because he goes off at half time. Yep. And it's I wait to see kind of how he is ahead of game against Rangers on Wednesday, but certainly one to see back, and possibly should have been a harsher punishment than it was.
Yeah, and then at the end of the first half, Malin has a free kick from out wide. It just misses everyone again. It's one of these crosses just begging for a touch. It goes for a corner, which is straight from the training ground, played to the edge of the box, and Heinemann has time and space. It's a very tame effort that goes wide in the post. So that sees out the first half. The second half, now we've seen Sean Mackey a couple of times. I think he came on late at Pataudry and played full back. Every time he's came on, I believe he's played full back for the first team. And let's take a moment to talk about his contribution to the match. He comes on and plays in centre mid, and he didn't look in the least bit out of place for me in that Hibs midfield.
I thought he was absolutely fantastic today. I thought when he came on initially it was going to be Stevenson moving into midfield and Mackey going into left back. I was a little bit surprised to see him kind of go into midfield, but I thought he was fantastic. I don't think he looked out of place at all. His passing and his crossing was just phenomenal. I thought he worked extremely hard. I don't think that he gave Incham any patience whatsoever. Every time he got on the ball, Mackey was on him. And he didn't win the ball every time, but he put him under enough pressure that Incham had to get rid of the ball. He had to play it out wide to Forrest. He put in a couple of really good challenges on the edge of the box late on when Celtic were pressing. His assist for the Canberra goal was absolutely outstanding pass. And he had another one where he it's almost with the outside of his foot, he kind of lost it through to Emerson Hindman, and it's just a little bit too far forward. He had another cross that goes right across the face of goal, and Sean Canberra just can't get a touch, but I thought he was excellent when he came on, and he's certainly done his chances of future first team appearances no harm there. And talk about kind of Ryan Porteous, the end of the game today we've had Porteous, Mackey, Shaw, Lewis Allen comes on late on.
Yeah, Jamie Gullen's on the bench as well.
Yeah. I mean, you take it back further, Lewis Stevenson and Stephen Whittaker playing as well. It's bodes well for academy production line, and if that's the kind of performance that these guys are going to put in every week, then I'm more than happy to see them in the first team.
Yeah, so the second half, I think the first chance of the game comes, Scott Sinclair puts in a ball, it just misses everyone. Mackey, we've already touched on that brilliant cross that he put in. It's Canberra just can't get to the back post. It was an excellent ball in. Marciano then produces a fairly unorthodox save from Forrest, but a save from Forrest nonetheless, which I think might have been Celtic's only shot on target, bar maybe one or two from about 30 yards. It went straight at Marciano. And then the second goal comes. Celtic get a free kick, and I made a comment to you just before they took it that it was Darryl Horgan versus Scott Brown if there's a one-on-one counter-attack. From that free kick we do counter-attack, and Hibs just throw bodies forward. They outpace Celtic getting forward. Mackey's ball to Canberra is stunning, and Canberra's finish is just much like the one at Parkhead, a total rocket into the top corner to essentially seal the game.
Yeah, it's the old cliche that even two goalkeepers on the line wouldn't save that. We've already said, fabulous ball by Sean Mackey. It's actually a really nice bit of control by Flo Canberra as well. He takes it on his chest, so kind of puts him through on goal, and so very similar to his finish at Parkhead. He absolutely rams it past Craig Gordon, and it's there's no way he's saving that. It's a classic sort of Flo Canberra finish in a lot of.
There's this kind of enigmatic feel to Canberra now that he can be having a disappointing game. Obviously he'll be disappointed with his recent run of form, but out of nowhere he can produce something like that, and that's the quality that we know is there from Flo Canberra.
Yeah, I mean he's a fantastic player. I think Gary Parker came out a few weeks ago and he said he needed to work a bit harder and he needed to be doing a little bit better. I think today was the kind of work ethic that we've come to expect from Flo. I thought even at times today when he was a little bit frustrated, and there were times when he held onto the ball too long, where he maybe could have passed, and he's tried to get the ball back in for a shot. He's a striker, that's what he does. I thought the work ethic was there. I thought he worked extremely hard. Benkovic and Simonovic, he wasn't giving them a minute's peace when they got on the ball. He was pulling, I think it was Benkovic, all over the place at times in the first half. Second half, I think you could kind of see that everybody was tiring a little bit, and maybe late on he maybe wasn't quite as influential, but a fantastic finish, and that's the Flo that we need to see. That's the kind of player that we know he is. Great to see him back among the goals. Can only help his confidence, and he's another one who seems to enjoy playing against Celtic and Rangers. He's got a couple of goals against them over the past year, so bodes well for Wednesday. But delighted to see him get back on the score sheet, and another one who hopefully can kick on now and get back to sort of the heights he was at last season.
And from the second goal, it was just all about keeping our concentration, no daft mistakes, nothing like that, and we've done that very well. Horgan has that cross that we talked about, Canberry puts in that cross that we've already talked about that Horgan just misses. On the counter-attack, Celtic are just all over the place. They're forced into making a couple of changes. Edward gets booked for diving, and
it was, I've not seen it back, so again, they may well have been contacting him, just being a little bit overly pessimistic here, but it was pathetic. He flops onto the ground in a sort of
I don't think there's a Hibs player within a yard of him.
Again, I could be completely wrong about that, but it was awful. It was absolutely awful.
And then I think the next highlight of the match comes from, we've already talked about Ryan Porteous should have get man of the match. How could we forget the ball boy on the main stand side? As calm as you like, holding the ball for Scott Brown to come and collect, and Scott Brown's a calm lad, so he'll definitely seen the funny side of that, I'm sure.
That was very funny. At times you can go into depth about things, but occasionally you just have to sit back and say that was hilarious.
Was it as funny as Livingston scoring 5 goals in 18 minutes against Hearts?
No. Nothing's as funny as that, but as in the context of today, I think it's probably the funniest moment in the game.
So Celtic make the final change. Mikey Johnston comes on, who was on for 20 minutes, and I think he was easily Celtic's best player. He has a moment where he beats Ambrose. McGregor's screaming for it, and he doesn't. He goes across goal. He maybe should have cut it back, which is fortunate for Hibs. Shortly after that, Benkovic has an effort from the halfway line, and now on Friday night, Livingston beat Hearts 5-0.
Did they?
Yeah, and Craig Levine said after the game that the Hearts players chucked it, or he accused them of chucking it. Benkovic's effort from the halfway line was, I think, Celtic's equivalent of chucking it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you used to play football in school and you just have a rubbish team, you'd get hammered and you just start shooting from anywhere because it's funny, because the heat would go.
Funny you say that. I watched my nephew play last year, and his team went 5-0 down, and from kick-off he just hit the ball out of the park, and at that point I denied all knowledge that he was my nephew. I just pretended that one of the other kids was my nephew that I was there to watch, and I wonder.
He's got a hat trick that did.
I wonder if Brendan Rodgers thought the same, where he just kind of turned around and went, well, he's not my player, he's Leicester's player. I don't know what happened there. So.
I know Adam Hamill scored from the halfway line here a couple of weeks ago, but that was rubbish. That was just awful. And it summed really things up for Celtic, I think, today. And obviously we're not Celtic fans and we don't watch Celtic every week, but I thought they were very disappointing today. Again, part of that might be caused by playing Thursday night against Salzburg. Part of it might be caused by it's a long run of games that they've got. I think they play 9 in December and we play 8. Is that, or we both play 8? I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but
I would have thought we would have played one more, just given that Rangers their Europa League game would be our game in hand against Rangers.
So it is a long run of games, and I don't know if that's going to play on the player's mind, but I think the Celtic fans who are here, and I'm sure all of those watching on TV would be extremely disappointed with the performance.
And now here's Ryan Porteous speaking with Hibs TV.
Ryan, you're deservedly named the Sky Man of the match today. Superb performance from yourself and from the team all round.
I think it's something we've been trying to put together for the last 9 games, and when we go 2-0 up, even 1-0 up, we've sometimes chucked it away quite in quite a slack way, obviously like the Dundee game and the St Mirren game. When we go 2-0 up, we wanted to see it through, and against a team like Celtic, they know they can tear any team apart, so we needed to stay compact and defend for the front as well, and I thought we'd done well today.
At the back we looked very, very solid. Everybody there looked like they just weren't going to lose a tackle today. Was that the sort of thought that was going through people's minds? Let's just win the ball, do the simple thing, get it clear if we have to, we can play it if we have to.
I think it helps when quite a lot of people want the ball. We've seen for the first goal where I think Wits and Slivka they exchanged a couple passes and then got it forward. We can play especially against like Celtic, and that's what the gaffer said before the game. You need bravery on the ball and bravery in the tackle. They're the two kind of braveries that you need, and I thought we showed that in abundance.
Does it help sometimes against teams like Celtic who like to play football? They maybe don't shut you down as much. They give you a wee bit more space to play in. Does that help?
I mean, Celtic have got quite an aggressive press at times, so sometimes you need to go back to the goal and start again. But I mean, we're kicking the ball along to Flo quite a lot, and it wasn't coming back. He was holding it up quite well and flicking it on, and Flo always performs well in the so-called bigger games, and I think I'm happy for him to get his goal as well, because that's what he loves doing.
We were up the back of the stand, and we actually thought we were pretty comfortable out there. Did it seem that way on the pitch?
I think the last 20 minutes were a lot. I think I looked at the clock about 72 minutes, and then I looked back at 50 minutes later and it was 75. So but as I said, I was obviously they piled on a bit of pressure, so you're obviously aware you're playing a good team, so you need to stay compact. And I look over and I see Effie just swaggering about, so that gives a lot of confidence when you've got players like that, and Louis, who's different class to our side of me as well. So it's good.
I was getting a couple of texts from Celtic supporting mates saying that maybe they should sign Effie back again. He just seems to have that. He's unflappable. He just reads the game so well, doesn't panic. That's what you want in that type of situation.
Yeah, he's a great player. It's not just a defender, he's a great player as well, and he showed his class defensively as well. When obviously Forrest took it off me in the first half, he was there to mop it up. And we've got that in abundance with other centre-halves as well. Daz and Paul can step right in there. I think that's another thing. We've been a bit depleted at times. This season we've missed our skipper for the last 8 games, and Paul, who's been a massive part of what Hibs have achieved over the last 5 years. So, I mean, we've got a big game on Wednesday now, so hopefully we can get more players back in for that and build on this and take that into the game.
From your own point of view, Effie there is, as we've said, is unflappable. He just seems to stroll through games. You're a different type of player. There's more aggression to your game. You didn't ever look like you were going to lose a ball in there today at all. That's what I try and base my game on, is being an aggressive defender. Over the last couple of years I've been trying to control that aggression, and the gaffer's been working closely with me on that. So I think at times you need to be aggressive in the challenge and aggressive in the air, and other times not so much. So that's something I've been trying to work on, and I thought I've controlled that quite well today. And they do say football's a funny old game. 2 wins, Hamilton there, Celtic today. It's all about confidence, and those 2 wins will give the lads a lot of confidence going into Wednesday's game against Rangers.
Aye, definitely. I think that was probably something that was lacking over the last month or two. But I think the confidence was always there. It was just that little bit of luck today. Maybe a couple of weeks ago that shot for Flo wasn't going in, or Slifka's one would have hit the post. So I mean, we've performed well today, but we've got another 4 games coming up in the next couple of weeks, so it's big games coming up.
And as we said, a wee bottle of champagne there from Sky. You're going to be opening that tonight?
Nah, I think my mum will take it off me as soon as I get home.
So they had one more chance. It was probably possibly the best chance of the game. Johnson again does very well, finds Lewis Morgan, he puts it wide, probably should have got it at least on target. At that moment, that was kind of when you felt safe, you felt like this was going to be your day, and there's not really much else happens. Mallon has a 35-yard effort, Gordon has to push it wide, Lewis Allen places all his shot to get a run out, but we see it out very professionally and very comfortably in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's kind of the most maybe not surprising, but certainly one of the most memorable things about this performance is just we never at any stage against this Celtic team looked like we were going to get beat. Even at the start of the second half, when Celtic had a couple of dangerous corners and dangerous crosses, you never really felt that they looked likely to score. They never at any point really threatened Porteous and Ambrose, and I think given the injuries that we've had, given the run of results that we've had, given the kind of attention that there has been on the team and on the club, it was an extremely professional display, and I don't think at any point this team has ever lost fans, but they've certainly won back a few after that performance, and again it'll probably put a few more. You would expect that South Stand to be full come Wednesday. Yeah, I think there'll be a few people who, I mean, certainly just going by the reaction of people I know, it's impressive, and one that's impressed a lot of the Hibs fans, and fair play. That's what we've been asking for over the past couple of weeks, and the team have turned up and delivered. So times like that, you can't hold that against them. You just have to sort of hold your hands up and say, we did it today. We turned up. Fortunately, we just have to do that 7 more times, and or however many more games we've got this month, and we'll be fine.
Well, next up it's the other half. It's Rangers that come. The time recording this, there's only 5 minutes played at Ibrox. They're already 1-0 up in Hamilton Accies. So did we? I remember last December we had this horrible run of fixtures. I think it was probably about the same, Rangers, Celtic and then Aberdeen, and by the time we got to Aberdeen on Saturday we were knackered. We put in a very poor performance, but we were evidently just shattered. Lost 4-1. Did we expend so much energy today that could be a factor on Wednesday, do you think?
Yeah, and it's you think like the work ethic that was put in today was a lot, and you could tell the players were knackered, and Ollie Shaw virtually crawled off the pitch when there was a lot of effort put in today. At the same time, Rangers again played Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday. There's an extra game in there for them. I know they have a few injury problems at the moment as well. Results for them haven't been quite as smooth as I'm sure Steven Gerrard and the rest of the Rangers fans would have been expecting. So they maybe come here a little bit under pressure again. We've said it's only 5 minutes gone there. They're already a goal up. That could turn into be a bit of a hammering for Hamilton. It might give them a bit of a confidence boost. But we can take heart from our result today. We can certainly kick on from that. I think in a bizarre way the defeat to Rangers here last December was kind of a turning point for us, where we at the very least deserved a point out of that game, and just couldn't put the ball in the net. So I think that was kind of when things changed and we kind of realised what was missing from this squad. It's going to take another performance like today to get another win out of that game. It's going to take us all mucking in and everybody kind of playing at 100%. It's certainly not going to be an easy game. I think Rangers are a very different animal this season than they were last year. Again, are they necessarily better than last season? Possibly a bit, but we haven't seen them play here yet.
Do you expect them to be sitting in, like sort of role reversal from today? Do you expect them to sit deep and they'll try and counter us, or do you think that I can't say I watch them a huge amount just because it's Rangers?
Yeah.
But any time I watch them, especially away from home, Gerrard has them looking fairly, not negative, but fairly deep, and I just wonder if they'll be trying to spring us in the counter on Wednesday night.
I think it'll be a very similar story. I think they'll be looking for an early goal, and at that point I'm sure they'll be quite happy to just contain us and hit us on the break. They do have some very pacey players in that team. We've got some very impressive players in that team. Ryan Kent I've been extremely impressed with since he's come along from Liverpool. We know exactly what Morelos is like. Candias is a very good player as well. I think in goal in Alan McGregor they've certainly improved that aspect of it. Likes of Goldson at centre half are I think an upgrade on what they had last year. So it's not going to be an easy game, but at the same time, you saw the Old Firm game early in this season, and Rangers never really got close to Celtic at any point. And if we come and put this performance in against Celtic, what it's going to take against Rangers is exactly the same performance. This squad and this team has the ability to do it, but it's certainly not going to be an easy game at all.
No, and you look at the league table as well, and it's amazing how quickly it all changes. This time, 9 days ago, we looked like we were going to be a bit marooned in the bottom 6. All of a sudden,
it's a terrible choice of word, that.
We would be stranded in the bottom 6, much like Hearts were stranded defensively at Livingston on Friday.
What was the score then?
I believe they lost 5-0. Yeah.
This is going to be horrible if they beat us.
It's fine, nobody listens. You look at the league table now, and all of a sudden we win on Wednesday. Not only are we back in the top 6, we're only, I'm not going to say 5 points off the top of the league, but we're right back in the mix of these European places. And as I said, I think during the kind of horror run, it was always a case of getting to January, strengthening where needs strengthened, and we were never going to be completely out of the picture of pushing for where we want to be.
Yeah, look, and we've won our last 2 games after a run of 9 without a win or 8 without a win. So it certainly doesn't arrest that run of form in any way at all. But what it does do is give us a little bit more confidence. It gives us a little bit more, I wouldn't say support, but it certainly, you know, means that the fans aren't quite as on, you know, the backs of the teams. And, you know, again, that's understandable given the run of form that we were on. Certainly not a criticism, but, you know, it's difficult because I think everybody expected us to be in and around the European places again this year. Obviously, with the run of results and the run of form that we've had, and just not being there, it's been disappointing. It's going to take a hell of a lot of work to get back up into those positions. You know, I mean, we saw how good Killie were a couple of weeks ago. Very deserved and very comfortable winners against us. We've played an Aberdeen side who've beaten us. We've played St Johnstone who've beaten us here, and St Johnstone on a great run of form. Admittedly, they got beat yesterday, but you know, that's the kind of standard we need to be at. It feels like we're kind of getting back to it. We're certainly not here yet, and you know, it's a bit of a litmus test over the next few games to see, you know, what our ambitions are. But I think, and I hope I'm not going to sound stupid for saying this in a week's time, but it looks like we're heading in the right direction. You know, but time will tell and results will tell. We have to turn up here on Wednesday, on Saturday, on Boxing Day at Ibrox, and the 29th here against Hearts, and put in a performance like today where we dig in. But this team has the ability to do it. This squad has the talent to do it. It's just about producing that on the pitch.
So that'll do us for this week's episode. Extended highlights from Sunday's match are now available on Hibs TV, along with all the other usual classic matches, old DVDs, etc. Next up is Rangers at Easter Road on Wednesday. Tickets are available online for that. Hibs TV subscribers can watch online if they're abroad. Until then, my thanks to James Delaney as always for joining me. Massive thank you for listening, and join us next time on The Final Whistle.